for each one of you who have come to know God personally through faith in Jesus Christ, you must stand very securely on these truths. Number one, you are chosen. God came after you. He saw value in you. You have to believe that, because your accuser will always try to convince you that that is not the case, that you are not chosen, that you're trying to force yourself into a place where you do not fit. The accuser is nasty. He will never build you up. He will never speak to you in a way that brings peace and joy. He wants to crush and to steal the things that God has given you, to destroy who God has created you to be. He's a difficult enemy. So remember, you are chosen by God. You are very valuable to Him. Secondly, he says that you are holy. All right, this is one that's tough for us to grasp. You're not holy because of how good you live. You are holy because Jesus has applied His righteousness to you when you received Him by faith. And part of your faith journey, just as you received Jesus into your life by faith, you now walk in Him by faith, believing that you are made holy because of His work on the cross. We usually tie our faith to that moment that we came into the kingdom, but we need to be reminded that every day that we wake up, we live by faith. Galatians 3:3, Paul is chastising the Galatians. He said, you came to Christ by faith, but now you've gone back to your old earthly practices. You're no longer living by faith. This is something we live by faith every single day. And the author of Hebrews in chapter 11 reminds us in verse 6, without faith you cannot please God. So we have to live every day by faith. So that means when I wake up in the morning, I recognize that I am holy in God's eyes. And anything that God says and God sees, that is truth. And I receive that by faith. Even if my accuser will try to tell me, you're not holy, you're wicked. Remember the failures that you've had? Remember the things that you've struggled with? You're not holy. How can you call yourself holy? We have to remember God says you're holy because I say you're holy. And every word that proceeds from the mouth of God is true. So we receive that by faith. And then we walk in that. See, if our enemy can convince us that we are not holy, but we are wicked failures, well, guess what? If you receive that as truth, you're going to walk in that way. Don't believe that. God says, believe what I say about you. You are chosen and you are holy. And did you catch the third thing that he said? Man, it's beautiful. You are dearly loved. You are dearly loved. I wonder how many of you tonight, as you're just reviewing your last week or maybe your last month, and you're thinking of the struggles that you've had during that time, I wonder how many of you think to yourself, I don't think God dearly loves me. In fact, I think He's kind of mad at me tonight. I think He's pretty upset with me. If I were God, I would want nothing to do with me. Our enemy loves to get us thinking that way. But God wants you to hear this tonight from His heart, right? That's what this book is, right? This comes out of the heart of God. You are dearly loved. Not just loved, deeply, passionately loved. You are loved. And if anything comes into your mind as you hear those words that would excuse you from that category, you need to understand that what God says about you is true, and then you need to receive it. Because we have an enemy who is very gifted in the art of condemnation. And the art of condemnation, the goal of condemnation, is to get you to believe that you are not dearly loved, that you are not worthy of God's love, and that you are not the recipient of God's love. And here's why. Look at your failures. That is condemnation. And if right now, tonight, you have come to God through faith in Jesus Christ, and you do not believe that you are dearly loved, you are in head-to-head battle with the enemy, and he's whooping you. He's beating you. And the way that you overcome that is you receive what God says about you by faith. If you don't believe in this moment that you are dearly loved by God, you need to confess that what you believe is a lie, and that you are now going to, by faith, believe what God says about you, because what God says is true.